he is, Carlos Condit, and he's here on the couch,
He's
Aaron.
here.
Great to have you here, Carlos. Good to meet you. Also with us today is Tomas, who is chairman of the World Mixed Martial Arts Council. Tomas, thanks for joining us here on the couch.
Thank you for having us here.
I'm going to find out what the World Mixed Martial Arts Council is here in a moment. Aaron, I know you've been wanting to talk to Carlos, and here he is.
Well, it's so funny, as they mentioned yesterday, oh, you know Carlos Condit's going to be on the show today or tomorrow. I'm like, what? Yeah, so it's a pleasure to have you on our show, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, I know I had to take some coffee to get you here, but we do what we have to do.
Free coffee will do the trick anytime.
So tell us a little bit, how did you get into fighting? I know you started training when you were 15.
Mm-hmm. I became a fan when I was pretty young, like nine years old. I was wrestling, and that's around the time that mixed martial arts and UFC really kind of came into the public's awareness. Mm-hmm. And at 15, I founded Jackson's Mixed Martial Arts and their affiliates with Tom Vaughn and Arlene, and started training. And kind of the rest is history, really.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Now, this and you're going to tell me now, Tomas, how this all works. You're kind of one of the governing councils of this sport, is that it?
Yes, I'm actually the chairman of the World MMAC, the World MMA Council. The World MMA Council is a world sanctioning body that regulates world title bouts.
As I watch this, Carlos, I'm looking at it, and I'm a sports fan. Mm-hmm. I'm watching you guys do this. Is there anything that's against the rules?
Yeah, there's rules in place for safety.
Sure.
There's no eye gouging, no hair pulling, no striking to the back of the head of an opponent. Certain elbows are illegal. It's actually a very safe sport. As rough as it looks and as intense as it looks, the injuries and serious stuff is pretty unheard of in the sport, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, because it looks like you get hurt every time you do this.
It's a rough sport.
You get hurt quite a bit, but as far as serious injuries, not as much. Not as much as you think, anyway.
Not as bad as a football player or something like that.
Yeah, and there's a potential for that, of course, but statistically, it's a fairly safe sport.
Yeah.
What drives the appeal of this? What do you think it is? And you can both answer that question.
I really feel like it has something for everybody. You're putting elite athletes together. You're dynamic styles. Wrestling, kickboxing, boxing. Mm-hmm. It's exciting. You never know how a fight's going to go. You could have a stand-up battle. You could have a grappling match. You could have an exciting fight that's really dynamic all over the place. I think that there's a reason why this sport is growing so fast. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's people who don't get it yet, and then there's MMA fans, because I really feel like there's most people who are going to come around.
Yeah. And Tomas, also, what are your feelings with it?
Yeah.
It's become like a world sport now.
It has. Actually, we have a series of trips planned out for the rest of the year, and we're going to be spending 2 weeks in India, 2 weeks in Thailand, precisely because there's so many fans out there. There's promoting companies calling us to make sure that it can be in line for world title bouts, right? They're trying to get fighters over there, right, and create bigger bouts, world known.
Mm-hmm.
The aggression that people think, the unsafety, as a parent, I was like, wow, that is so dramatic. I don't want my kids training. But like Carlos said, it is highly watched out for.
Mm-hmm.
That's bodies like us exist to make sure there is regulations and fighter safety. It's funny because it is more thrilling to watch than boxing nowadays, right? I'm a big fan of boxing as well, right? But on Saturday they said, well, you're gonna watch the fight. I'm like, which one am I gonna watch? Is it MMA or boxing? That's a no-brainer.
Carlos, I love talking to elite athletes, and I consider you one. When you're in the heat of the moment, do you sense the crowd around you, or are you just zoned in on your opponent and what you have to do personally? What's going on with you in that moment?
I think there's some conscious awareness of the crowd, of what your coaches are saying, but a lot of these things are trained. The techniques are trained so much. It's really muscle memory and instinct. So your mind is going, but you are supremely focused on the guy across the cage from you who's trying to end your night basically.
Yeah. Well, it's like before you go out there, it's like you have to get all revved up, and it's like you put on this whole new role. It's a whole other person.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say 80% of it's psychological. So getting into a good mind state, you're about to go do battle. So you gotta put on game face and get ready.
You've become very well known. With that comes some of the charitable things that come your way, and you're involved in a very good charity, and you're supporting Cuidando de los Niños. Fill us in on that a little bit, either one of you.
All right, Cuidando de los Niños is an organization here in town that provides support to homeless children. Yes. They have a daycare center. It's an early childhood development center, and they do pretty much what any preschool would do for children. So to get them started off right with education, but they also do things like provide nutrition, health care, dental. Kids need glasses, shoes, a lot of the things that we take for granted, and they do amazing work over there. And on the back end, they try to help the parents of the homeless parents get jobs and get into housing. So they're really hitting the homeless problem from two different sides.
Yeah. And you have an event coming up, Fight Night, October 3rd. Tell us what that's going to be about.
I'll let Tom.
The Fight Night Gala series is a series of 6 events. The first one to be here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? And it's intended to work with local promotion companies and also to partner up with a nonprofit organization to raise funds, raise awareness. When it comes to philanthropy, sometimes people think that we need to go across the world to go do work. It's just opening our eyes, opening the backyard and looking that we do have a need here in town. And what better yet to help kids. Have a 5-year-old daughter, and I can't imagine a kid out there not having the basic principles that we take for granted every day. Going back to the galas, the gala is coming late this fall, right? For schedules and for dates and locations of future galas. We know we have some in Colombia, we have some in Mexico coming up. All of them are going to be on our webpage, the schedules and times and how to be a part of it. They're targeted for the business community, right, to raise funds, to raise awareness for those local nonprofits.
Now, there's something to do with that motorcycle. What's going on with that?
Okay. A few fights ago, I won a Harley. Harley is a big sponsor of the UFC, and I won my fight. I got this really, really nice Harley. I figured I could do something better with it than keep it for myself. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a raffle. It's going to be a nationwide raffle. We're kind of getting all the logistics in place right now. And we're going to be selling raffle tickets for $25 a piece. 5 for 100, a little bit of a deal there. And basically you get this brand new Softail Slim Harley if you happen to win it. We're going to have a couple of second, third prize. This is the grand prize. The website you can go to check this out is campcondit.com. We'll have a link to the raffle, so you can do tickets online, and hopefully we can raise quite a bit of money for Cuidando de los Niños.
Great stuff.
So you could own this. Can I see that real quick?
Absolutely.
So you could own this motorcycle for possibly only $25.
That's a great deal.
Yeah, and we decided to do a raffle as opposed to an auction just so that we could get more people involved. Not a whole lot of people can outright, buy something like that cash, but a lot of people can afford a $25 raffle ticket, and in turn we get a lot of exposure and a lot of people aware of what Cuidando does.
Yeah, and I love that this is a national event and you're helping your community.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Go back to MMA for a sec. I want to talk more about that. All right. Now looking at you, you don't look like, I kind of expected more like a football linebacker physique, but you're very lean and you're very, is that what the training calls for, or does it call for a guy to be bulked up and big?
Well, see, there's all different body types in the sport, and so we have to make weight classes. We have to make
and what do you weigh?
I fight at 170 pounds, which is welterweight. So yeah, and there's different body types within the weight class. There's short, stocky guys that you would, maybe like the body type you're talking about. There's taller, lanky guys, and each body type kind of lends itself to a different style and different techniques.
I see.
There's different advantages for a short guy as opposed to a lanky guy like myself.